Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Are you ready? Hey everybody, it's Jeff. Glad to see everybody here today. Alright, so, kind of a gloomy day in Maine today. Didn't rain, but it looked like it was gonna all day. I just, I went out and did a few things anyway, got some groceries and stuff like that. Kind of a lazy day. I went down to Governor's restaurant for lunch. Some of you probably know this restaurant. And anyway, I went to the one in Old Town. I hate to go into the one in Bangor because Bangor, they don't have as much parking around the building. And most of the time you go over there, you can't even get in and out of that damn place. So I went over to the one in Old Town and ordered a Smokey, what are you doing? Come on. Come on. Yeah, I had a half and half basket, which was scallops and shrimp, okay, and fries with coleslaw, a small order of onion rings, and I had a slice of apple pie for dessert, okay. All of that was about, let's see, $45 and something, I guess, yeah. I was like, I remember a time when you go in there and you could spend under $30 and get that same kind of a meal, but now, Jesus. I don't know, it seemed, I don't know, maybe I'm just being a little bit ridiculous, but I do eat out in different restaurants, and it seems like Governor's has gotten more pricey these days than they used to be. So I ate there, and it's good and everything. They don't give you as much as they used to. I mean, they used to round that friggin' plate when you get it, but not these days. So I don't know what's going on. Anyway, I got a video I want to play for y'all, and it's about 18 minutes long, I think, yeah. And it's about Tina Peters, who was one of those people who tried to tried to fix the election so that way Trump, could win, I guess. She was recently sent to prison for 9 years. She's 68 years old, and the judge sent her away for that. Yeah, there's a lot that you should see about that anyway. So let's start the video here, and we'll go to a commercial break after, and then I'll catch you on the other side. So let's go to the video.
I have been a practicing attorney for going on 2 decades and have represented many, many, many people, too many to count, in criminal court. And I'm getting ready to show you a case where I'm telling you, you should never do what this woman did during her sentencing. Never. If you find yourself in the unfortunate position of having to stand before a judge during sentencing, never, ever do what this lady did. Now, this is a fascinating story. It's a sad story of a 68-year-old woman receiving a long prison sentence, 68 years old. She brought it completely upon herself, both inside and outside the courtroom. Now, we'll get into this and explain to you what I'm talking about. Okay, so before we get into this, please go over to Amazon.com, grab a copy of my book, Education and Justice, so that you'll have a tool in your possession on how you can help your African-American son come through public schools and get the very best education that he can get. Because I'm warning you, the public school system mistreats African-American male students, and you need to know what to do about it, and you'll find that out in this book. All right, so this story concerns this woman, Tina Peters, a MAGA election denier. She basically believed Trump. She believed the big lie that the election had been stolen from Trump. And she was a clerk, so she was in a position to try to prove that the election had been stolen from Trump. And exactly what she did to try and help Trump prove that is what she was ultimately found guilty of. So I'm going to play you some video here in just a second, but I want you to see what the woman was accused of doing. So at trial, she was convicted of helping an outsider, Conan Hayes, a former professional surfer turned technology wizard, to gain unauthorized access to one of Mesa County's Dominion machines in May 2021. Remember, Fox News had to pay Dominion machines a lot of money for defaming the company. Remember that? I mean, a lot of money. So this woman, she helped this man, Conan Hayes, capture county passwords and sensitive data about Dominion's proprietary software that showed up 3 months later at an event questioning the results of the election hosted by Mike Lindell. That is this guy, the so-called Pillow guy, the founder of the betting company MyPillow, who is a prolific purveyor of election lies. This was reported by the New York Times. All right, so she basically allows someone to gain access to the election data for Mesa County in Colorado. And for that, she was found guilty, and she received a long prison sentence for her participation in trying to prove that the election was stolen from Trump. But it's what she did in court during sentencing that made things so much worse for her. She would have gotten a much lower sentence, maybe not even sentence at all to prison. But the way she behaved in court, don't do that. Don't do that. And as an attorney, this is what I saw when I looked at this story. Other people are just, laughing, or they're angry about what happened. The judge was very vocal about his displeasure with the way she handled this situation. But he was also very displeased at the way she handled herself in court. Typically, during sentencing, the defendant is begging for his or her life. I mean, begging. We're putting forth, I can't tell you how many times I've been in this situation, because typically trials have two phases, the guilt and innocence phase. And then if there is a guilty verdict, then you go into the second phase, which is the sentencing, right? And during the sentencing, it is full stop trying to keep your client from going to prison. You throw everything you can in front of the judge. You typically need to show remorse. You need to show that you're sorry for what you did. You don't need to try to relitigate the case, because at this point, the judge has your freedom in his or her hand. So you should be humble. You should be begging for your life, especially when you're 68 years old and you're facing all this prison time. But that is not what this woman did. And this is the real story. So let me play this video for you, and you'll see for yourself.
It's with a heavy heart that I hear the vile accusations and the anger levied against me for what I did to serve the people of Mesa County. Maintaining my innocence is not disrespect for the law. I respect the jury verdict based on the evidence that they were allowed to hear. There's much that they weren't allowed to hear. All right, I'm going to move along.
So she's starting out wrong. Wow, she is completely starting this thing out completely wrong, maintaining her innocence, relitigating her case. And then she said to the judge, I respect the jury's opinion based on what they were allowed to hear. They were not allowed to hear a whole lot of evidence. She is basically throwing shade at the judge at that point, because he's the one who decided what was admissible and what was not admissible. So she is basically saying, you were unfair to me, judge. You did not treat me right. What you did was not legal. And that's the reason why I'm in this situation. Oh, that is the worst way, absolutely. If, you know what, you wait until the appeal and you argue that to the appellate court. You don't tell the judge to his face that what he did, his rulings, and so on, are erroneous and an abuse of discretion and an abuse of his power and all of that. That is not the time to do that. Right now, you need to be begging for your life, showing some remorse, and so on. But it gets worse. Watch this.
Man,
Sorry?
I'm not going to let you
Okay,
go
that's
on
fine.
about things that are completely irrelevant to the sentence.
This is irrelevant.
No, it's not. I've let you go on enough about this, but the votes are the votes. You still didn't answer the question. If this is my ballot and I put it in the machine, whatever it tabulates is whatever it tabulates.
No, it doesn't. It changes.
You're not letting me finish.
Okay,
whatever
please.
it tabulates is whatever it tabulates. My hand vote, my ballot remains the same. They counted those ballots. Did they
understand.
not?
I understand what you're saying,
Did
Your
they
Honor.
count the ballots?
No, the ballot images were changed, and that's what the total shows. Okay, I'll move off of this because I can see that I would encourage to read the report number 3.
I've read them, ma'am.
You've read all of them?
I've read those reports. They were given to me at some point, I believe.
Good. Well, so you know what I'm saying is true. All right, let me move on. It's not funny. My life is on the line here, Your Honor.
No, you're the one who's making this allegation that, one,
It's
I think
not
it's
an
funny,
allegation.
and two, that I know it's true. You're saying that as if I believe you, and I did not say that.
Okay.
That is why
Oh.
I made the sound, because it's insulting to me for you to just put that in a record in front of all of these people that I believe something to be true.
Okay, and I apologize for that, Your Honor. That wasn't my intent. I do apologize for that. It gets a little fiery when your life is on the line, and I apologize.
So wow. She's standing there during sentencing. She's already been found guilty by the jury. The case has already been litigated. There's nothing that she can say at this point to the judge to get past that guilty verdict. And instead of standing there and pleading for her case and showing all the reasons why, he should not send her to prison. She ultimately does that, but it's too late at this point. The judge is sitting there now offended, insulted, that she is accusing him of doing things, untoward things. And he is exacerbated. I mean, at point you can count the numbers, you can count the years being added to her sentence. Just because she's standing there defiant, she's standing there arrogantly with pride, all in service to Donald Trump. Now that is a part of the story as well, a huge part of the story. But for me as an attorney, it's this behavior that's the real story, because she could have mitigated her circumstances a whole lot had she done this much differently. All right? So we're about to hear from the judge and how he was really angry at this point. Watch this.
The defense has, and Ms. Peters in particular, has remained quite defiant, which is her right, but certainly not helpful for her lot today, after your lies are well documented and these convictions are serious. I'm convinced you would do it all over again if you could. You're as defiant as a defendant as this court has ever seen. You don't have those histories of drug and alcohol abuse. There's no lifetime of trauma, not even close to the type of mitigating circumstances I would see from many folks.
See, here he's trying to explain to her that you are this privileged, proud, defiant, arrogant woman. You don't have the typical issues of people who are sitting in that very chair and are begging for their lives because they have substance abuse issues. They were raised in very bad neighborhoods and bad families and mental health issues and all of those things that we share with the court during sentencing, during the punishment phase to get sympathy from the court. She has none of that. And in addition, again, she's very arrogant, very defiant. I mean, she is basically accusing the judge of doing illegal, unconstitutional things. Now, if she feels that way, that's fine. She will have the opportunity in her appeal to make those arguments. She will have that. She will get that chance. Now is not the time for that. So this judge is angry. He's teed. All right, let's go back.
Who sit in that chair. No, to the contrary, Ms. Peters, you are a privileged person. You are as privileged as they come. And you use that privilege to obtain power, a following, and fame. And to be sure, there's no doubt in my mind that is exactly what you wanted, and it defies all sense of common sense to believe when you suggested to me a few moments ago that you didn't want this attention. No, you crave it, ma'am. And there is no one in this courtroom who would consider that to be anything other than the absolute truth. There are many things in my mind that are crystal clear about this case. You are no hero, you abused your position, and you're a charlatan who used and is still using your prior position in office to peddle a snake oil that's been proven to be junk time and time again. In your world.
So during your sentencing, if the judge calls you a charlatan, that you abused your power as an official, that you are defiant, that you lack remorse, and that in large part is because of the way you handled yourself during your opportunity to plead with the judge not to send you to prison, you know you have mishandled that situation. And I don't know what those lawyers are sitting there thinking, but I would have right now just like a hole in the pit of my stomach knowing that she is getting ready to receive a very harsh sentence. And not only because of what she did, because this judge was absolutely angry about this election denying business that she was involved in. But he obviously considered mitigating circumstances that would have, I'm certain, that would have reduced that 9-year prison sentence to something much less, and maybe not at all. I mean, he is, after all, looking at a 68-year-old woman, a white woman at that. But she's going, she is fighting for Trump. She is fighting. And she was a hero of this crowd, right? She allowed, again, remember what she did? She allowed people to get into the database of the election, of the voters for this particular county. She really abused her power, all for Trump. And she continues that thing. And she released a statement after she was found guilty that was defiant. So let's listen to the judge a little more before he imposes sentence.
About you. But at bottom, this case was about your corrupt conduct and how no one is above the law. No one in this country has absolute power. Your position as a clerk and recorder, a constitutional position, does not die.
I can't help but to think when he says no one in this country has absolute power, I can't help but to think that he is sending that message to Trump. Because remember, the U.S. Supreme Court said that Trump, as a former president, and if he's reelected, God forbid, he will have absolute immunity, which basically puts him above the law. I think this judge was sending a message to Trump and all these MAGA people. No, despite what the Supreme Court said, no one is above the law. I think that's what he was saying to the country right there. Let's go back.
And provide you with a means by which to do your own investigation, to not listen to the judiciary, to not listen to the executives higher than you, to not listen to the legislature who sets the law as it may be. This is nonsense. Our system of government can't function when people in government think that somehow, some way, the power they've been given is absolute in all respects. And that's where you fell. You have no respect for the checks and balances of government. You have no respect for this court. You have no respect for law enforcement. And you do not have respect for your fellow colleagues when you were a clerk and recorder who weren't lockstep in your beliefs. Period. Indeed, just weeks before trial, you were apparently doing what I mentioned earlier, that is, over at the clerk and recorder's office where you're not supposed to be, violating the protection order by speaking to employees of that entity with your camera crew in tow. You have no qualms with violating the court's orders because you're innocent, because you didn't do anything wrong. You were just doing your job. You have no problem trying to kick an officer. Your explanation about what happened is preposterous. It's on video. You have no problem lying to officers. It's happened multiple times. They're recorded conversations. It's just more lies. No objective person believes them. No, at the end of the day, you cared about the jets, the podcasts, and the people fawning over you. You abdicated your position as a servant to the Constitution, and you chose you over all else. Yes, you are a charlatan, and you cannot help but lie as easy it is for you to breathe. You betrayed your oath for no one other than you. And this is what makes Miss Peters such a danger to our community. It's the position she held that has provided her the pulpit from which she can preach these lies, the undermining of our democratic process, the undermining of the belief and confidence in our election systems. It's not about questioning it. No one says you can't question, you can't ask. It's completely different. And if you don't understand I can say or do here today, that will change your mind. So the damage that is caused and continue to be caused is just as bad, if not worse, than the physical violence that this court sees on an all too regular basis. And it's particularly damaging when those words come from someone who holds a position of influence like you. Every effort to undermine the integrity of our elections and public's trust in our institutions has been made by you. You've done it from that lectern the voting public provided you with. Everything you've done has been done to retain control, influence. The damage is immeasurable.
Again, this judge is talking to Trump. He's talking to MAGA. He is letting them know that your intentional undermining of our election process based on a big lie is unintentional. It is just un-American. I mean, he is letting them have it through this woman. And all the more as he witnessed her arrogant attitude. Like he said, in her mind, she's not guilty. She didn't break the law. She was just doing her duty, doing her job, irrespective of breaking the law. So he is teed with her, and he's making a point to all of MAGA across the country. Bravo for this judge.
And every time it gets refuted, every time it's shown to be false, just another tale is weaved. So I'll begin by saying I've considered all of those purposes of staying of an execution of a sentence. I've mentioned all of them here generally in my comments already, and I find that a stay of any sentence I impose would be wholly unwarranted. All cases.
So right there, that's important. So he says, I have considered reasons why I should not execute sentence today, why I should not send you to prison. And he says, and it's based a lot on the way she conducted herself. It would be, and other things, not just the way she handled herself in court, but the fact, he mentioned that she violated a protective order by speaking to court workers that she should not have spoken to, and had a camera crew with her. So he's like, she is unredeemable at this point. There's nothing he can do, no mercy he could show her to change her mind, because in her mind, she did the right thing regardless of what the law says, regardless of what the legislature has written in the law. She is a part of this MAGA cult community that Trump has created. And again, he's letting her have it. So he's telling her, I've considered all of this. And when you saw her going back and forth with him, I'm sure at that point, that's it. Forget it. Forget it. Whatever he may have been considering doing, forget it at that point. All right, let's go back. That's why I entitled this video, Don't Do This in Court. That's the bigger story here.
Possibility of reversal on appeal, no doubt. I'm at peace with all the decisions I've made here. If anything, I gave you and your counsel far too much leeway at times, but the rulings I made came after much consideration, incredible amounts of internal debate, and I trust in accordance with the applicable law. I consider the sentence here, in this case, what are available to me. Probation. Community corrections wasn't requested, but it wouldn't be an option in any event, and an incarcerative sentence to the Department of Corrections. Probation's focus is rehabilitation. That is, for folks who have minimal criminal histories, low LSI scores like you, Ms. Peters, but where punishment isn't really on the table. It's about putting someone back in the community who's not a risk and giving them a chance to correct those things that brought them before me in the first place. Community corrections, which again isn't available, but nevertheless I'll mention, is another option that I could still order. It's much more stringent than probation, but it's not prison. And it's for folks who have even higher needs. Again, drug addicts, alcohol abusers, and the like. And prison is for those folks where we send people who are a danger to all of us. Whether it be by the pen or the sword or the word of the mouth. Prison is where folks go, where punishment is what we're focused on, because the crime committed is so significant that anything less would unduly mitigate the seriousness of the same. I mentioned before there are no mental health concerns. There's no good reason why you're here, Ms. Peters, other than these are all the active decisions that you made that cost our county significantly, but also more importantly, cost you greatly, Mr. Wood, all the members of the county who worked and trusted you when you asked them to do things that they did on your behalf. It's part of your lies. The expense, the toll is immeasurable. So putting you on probation when you have zero needs that would be met by probation is the very definition of unduly depreciating the significance of what it is that you've done here, the harm that you've caused our community and continue to cause. Community corrections is the same. So prison is the only place that duly meets the purposes of sentencing in this matter. And therefore the sentence and judgment of the court is as follows. As to counsel.
All right, and so he goes on to basically impose a sentence of 9 years. 9 years. That's a long time. And I, as a criminal defense attorney, I don't celebrate that, although I strongly, strongly detest this whole election denying situation. And not only was it problematic after the 2020 election, but those lies continue, and those lies fuel what we are about to and are facing now in the 2024 election. Those same people are out there. Trump is out there pushing these lies. And so no doubt, no matter what happens on November 5th, Donald Trump is going to declare victory. I believe that strongly. And people like Ms. Peters are already pledged to help carry that forward. Even if Kamala wins by millions, the way Joe Biden did, they are still prepared to do exactly what this woman did. I still, again, don't celebrate though. Some of you do. I've saw some people laughing. I just don't. I'm a criminal defense attorney. It's horrible to see people handcuffed and walked away by the bailiffs and know that in this woman's case, she may die in prison for following Donald Trump. As the judge said, not for any other reason, no drug addiction problem, None of that. Just following Trump. This is a sad story. And I wanted to share this story with you, but from a legal perspective, this is not the way that you should ever behave in court, especially if you have been found guilty and you are trying now to throw yourself on the mercy of the court to not get the worst outcome. This is not the way you do it. All right? So,
all right, let's go to a commercial break. We'll be right back.
This is me.
This is me.
This is me!
This is me.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Ruth McLaughlin, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This is me.
Me.
This is me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you, original.
Finally, a president who stands up for growth, opportunity, and prosperity for every American. Kamala Harris will fight for American jobs, lower costs, and give families a head start in a tough world.
We will create what I call an opportunity economy where everyone has the chance to compete and a chance to succeed.
Her plan will make it easier for people to start a family, raise kids, and buy a first home. It's a real start to a new economy where hard work and entrepreneurship pays off for everyone. Donald Trump's plan, another budget-busting trillion-dollar tax cut for billionaires like Elon Musk, a Trump tariff tax that screws American families, higher prices for everything. Kamala Harris, an economic plan that puts Americans first.
Dreams about what everybody dreams about: starting a family, owning a home, building a life with stability, and having hard work pay off. People ask why we're not married, why we're not having kids, why we don't own a home. It's because no matter how hard we work, big banks, big tech, big insurance companies find a way to screw us. They raise their prices and get bailed out when they screw up. We're not asking for a handout or a bailout. We just want the chance to make it. Have someone in our corner who fights for us. Someone who gives a damn, who will take on the people gouging us and win. And that someone is Kamala Harris.
I will fight to give money back to working and middle-class Americans.
In this election, we're not just choosing a candidate. We're choosing a future.
America's national security, a president's first job, to protect our nation from all enemies, foreign and domestic. In a dangerous world, Kamala Harris has sworn to do just that. Her commitment is clear.
I will never waver in defense of America's security and ideals, because in the enduring struggle between democracy and tyranny, I know where I stand and I know where the United States belongs. I will ensure America always has the strongest, most lethal fighting force in the world.
And to uphold America's solemn promise to honor our veterans.
And I will fulfill our sacred obligation to care for our troops and their families, and I will always honor and never disparage their service and their sacrifice.
Kamala Harris for president, for a stronger, safer America.
Driver's license, registration.
Here you go, sir. How's your day going?
That's your daughter?
Sure is.
Abigail, right?
How do you know her?
Were you about 8 weeks pregnant? So you've been spotting recently. You've had any cramps or nausea?
That's personal.
You been taking your prenatal vitamins?
Excuse me?
Are you ticketing me for something?
Where are you heading, Abigail?
To go see my older sister, Natalie.
Well, that's strange. This says here that Natalie's at a concert in Dallas. And your navigation is set to a women's health clinic in one of those abortion states.
We have the right to travel.
Not anymore. Step out of the car.
Please, officer.
Both of you out now. You, sir, are under arrest for crossing state lines to obtain an abortion for a minor under your care. And you, young lady, well, you're under arrest for evading motherhood.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it.
It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
Everybody. So, defiant, huh? I mean, you know, the first thing that come to mind, you know, when I was watching, you know, that exchange between the judge there and Tina was, boy, she sounds like a lot of other maggots, you know, that cult of people that support Trump. Defiant, arrogant. They feel like they know better than everyone else around them. Denial. That's all. I mean, she really exhibited every trope there, every sign that says, you know, this is a MAGA. Okay. You wouldn't think, you know, to look at her that she would be like that. It's not like a cult of young people. Okay. It's a cult that has people of all different ages in it. And all different education levels, believe it or not. I mean, even though Trump likes the poorly educated, a lot of people in MAGA are not poorly educated. They have degrees, some of them, and some of them have good jobs, and you know, they're intellectual. But they're lacking. They're lacking in right and wrong. They're lacking in common sense, you know, and they're so gullible. You know, the fact that she was actually going to argue with the judge after she was found guilty, you know, and then she tells him, well, you didn't let them see all the evidence. Meaning to say you rigged it so I'd lose. You know, it's like, excuse me, woman? You know, you're actually going to challenge how I did my job here on the fucking bench. You know, his job was to decide what evidence was relevant and what evidence wasn't. He threw out what he felt was not relevant to the case, okay, which in every trial that happens, okay. Sometimes the lawyers have to argue about admitting things in the fucking court, okay. Some things, don't get added in there for whatever reason, depending on the case, okay. And then she's going to try and twist that practice in court as the judge was rigging the whole thing against me. Does that sound like Trump to you? And like I said, these people, birds of a feather flock together. She is like Trump in a way. Maybe not as bad as Trump, okay? Because I doubt she, molested any kids or anything like that, hopefully. I don't think she's that evil, but she's bad enough where this guy can tell her a lie and she's going to swallow it, hook, line, and sinker, And she doesn't realize that still. She stands in the courtroom looking at 9 years in prison and she still doesn't get it. Okay? She still doesn't get it. I can't, how do you, you can't really, you can't have a sane conversation with such people. You really can't. You can't show them facts. You can't show them where they're wrong because they're never wrong. They're always right. And they got the facts. They think they got the facts on their side. Okay? They will go to their death believing that they're innocent, just as this woman will. And many others like her right now that are sitting in prison for the January 6th crap that went on. Okay? A lot of them people are still in there. They still think they're innocent. Okay? Fine. But you're going to pay the penalty. Okay? What you did, whether you think you're innocent or not, broke the law. There are laws in there, okay? They just weren't written overnight. These things have always been in the books. You guys violated them, and you're going to pay the price. Because this lady's 68 years old, I don't feel that warrants her a get-out-of-jail-free card, okay? I don't care how old she is. We put a 78-year-old man away in prison for life because he was the Golden State Killer. All right? Age doesn't have anything to do with justice. You do wrong, you pay the penalty. Now, the judge could have been lenient with her a little, I guess. It's his prerogative as a judge. But she didn't open the door to that. Instead, she arrogantly stood in front of him and tried to sass him like he was a little 2-year-old. Okay? That right there in itself shows this demented woman's thinking. Okay? Who the hell does that? Have you ever seen anybody in a court show where, like if you watch True Crime or 48 Hours, they're in court and the fucking, the defendant gets sent away or something and they stand up and they sass the judge and all that, Very, very seldom do you see that. I mean, maybe in the smaller courts, where there's a robbery, you might get some young people that'll do that because they don't know any better. But a woman of her caliber who knows better, she even knew what she did was wrong, but stands on this soapbox that I did the right thing. I did this for Donald Trump. Well, you're going to go to prison for Donald Trump. How do you like that? And I could see what she was thinking in her head was like saying, well, if Donald Trump is out there right now running for president, okay, and you're accusing me of something that I did wrong and he was involved with it, then why does he get to walk around free and I don't? Well, because we have a different tier system of justice in this country, unfortunately. The rich can get out of prison, a lot easier than people under them, okay? That doesn't mean he's innocent. That just means that it's going to take a lot more effort to get this fucker behind bars. But he's just as guilty as this lady and more so for a lot of other things, okay? And if justice has its chance, he's going to be sitting behind bars too. So this lady shouldn't, think that because he's out there free that she ought to be free too. No. It's like the judge says, this penalty is not just an isolated thing. It's not just about you. He has to send a message to everybody else out there who wants to think about doing the same thing, that if you get caught, if you do this, you get caught, you're going to have to answer for this in court. This is what happens. So, yeah, are we martyring her? Are we making an example of her? Yes, you damn right we are. Personally, I wouldn't have been lenient with her. I'd have gave her the max. Okay? I don't care. 9 years is, that's... Fuck it. If she dies in prison, so be it. But I wouldn't have any sympathy. Because like he said, what she did was she chipped away just a little bit more at the democracy that we have in our country. chipped away a little bit more at our way of electing our own leaders. Okay, that's unacceptable. You know, not in a country where we want to have a civilized society, you know, where people, you know, if they murder somebody or they rob a place or they break even the smallest law, there's a penalty you got to pay. You know, that's how we maintain order in our society. If we just let people do what they want, whenever they want, and expect not, I mean, then what the hell kind of, what reason do we have to have a police, laws, or even an election? I mean, what point is there in that? I mean, folks like this lady here are just people who are all for anarchy. You know, we'll do what we want because that's what we want. You know, well, if that's the case, then the Democrats can, you know, how many presidents you want to seat in the White House? You know, you're going to have a Republican seated and a Democrat seated, you know, and who's going to get, you know what I'm saying? I mean, this is the way they want to do things. You know, they want to confuse the whole system of government so they can take it apart. You know, and, you know, I just think like this lady here it's sad, you know, because, you know, she's educated, but she ain't too bright, you know what I'm saying? I mean, she's one of those people that, you know, maybe she was paid off, I don't know. I mean, probably, I would guess she probably was. But the thing is that, you know, these Trump people in MAGA are so obsessed, it's like a cult mentality, okay? They are a cult. And she is a member of that cult, and she'll be in prison, and she'll still be a member of that cult, even in prison. Because I know she'll be in prison, and she'll tell everybody in there, I'm innocent, I didn't, you know, my lawyer fucked me over, or the judge fucked me over. You know, she'll do her time. She'll try to appeal it. I know she will, okay? But how is she going to appeal it? What part of what happened to her is even a basis for an appeal? Okay? I mean, she's going to say, well, the judge threw out evidence that could have changed the verdict. Well, they'll review that, the stuff that he threw out. And if they agree that it didn't have any relevance at all to her case, then guess what? You're going to do the 9 years. Okay? But I don't think this judge, you know, was really going to throw the book at her the way he did, you know. But because she displayed no remorse, and she actually, you know, she got mad at the judge, which you hardly ever see in a courtroom like that. That's ridiculous. It's like Augustus said, you know, there's certain things you just don't do in a courtroom. When you're standing there to hear your sentence, you don't fucking run your mouth. Okay, that's a surefire way of getting your ass in there for the maximum. Okay, you don't do that. And her attorney obviously wasn't a very good attorney because he didn't tell her to sit down and shut up, you know, or something. No, she stood up and just went off on this guy. And so she learned the lesson, I hope, but I got a feeling that it's not going to matter to her because people like her, the other people in MAGA, will take up the fight for her, you know, to continue what she was doing, and they'll try it again. Like, you know, like Augustus said, this election coming, Trump's is gonna say victory no matter what happens in the election. Okay, even if he loses by a fucking landslide, you know, even if he loses by a landslide, okay, he's still going to come out and say, I won this thing, because that's what he did the last time. He didn't even wait for the votes to be all counted. When he's already on the TV saying, I won this thing, you know, and he was expecting the other side to just, you know, give their concession speech. No, they hadn't even finished counting the votes, and he's already out there claiming victory. That's what he's going to do this time. I think I already said that before. That's his plan. This is the first step in what he's going to try to do to upset the results of the election in November, that next month. That's what he's going to do. He's going to do the same shit all over again. And I'm hoping that the lawyers will be ready for that, because if he's going to repeat the same mistake that he made last time, then the lawyers should be there ready to catch the ball when he does it again. Okay? But, you know, he's going to do this largely because he knows MAGA is going to do exactly what he wants them to do. Okay? Which means there'll probably be riots. You know, if he loses, there'll probably be random riots all over the country in different spots in America. People are going to, you know, get, you know, who knows what's going to happen Inauguration Day. But I'll tell you right now, they better have a fucking wall of bulletproof glass around Kamala Harris when she takes the oath, because I'll tell you, you know, I wouldn't be surprised, you know, but this is what the judge was talking about. Tina contributed to the atmosphere of what's going on in this country right now, what's been happening in America for the last 4 years. Her actions that she did those years back contributed to what's going on today. Her and others like her that decided to do what Trump asked of them. And to me, 9 years doesn't seem like a long enough sentence, but, you know, I got to keep in perspective, you know, she didn't kill anybody, even though her constituents, you know, her MAGA followers, some of them did. And it's just a shocking kind of thing to think that you have people in this country who would rather overthrow the government and seat a dictator than actually live under dictatorship. And the only reason I can think that that's even possible is because people today, for some reason, seem to think that if they can't get things their way, then by the barrel of the gun, they're going to get what they want. Basically, you know, they don't want to take the effort to work inside the system we have. They don't want to do the right thing. They don't want to be active politically. They only want what they want when they want it. Okay? And that's not the way it works. You're not the only voice in the country. You're not the only citizen of America. There's over 370 million other Americans in this country, and they want their voices heard too. So, you can't just fucking, you know, tell everybody else to shut up and just listen to me, okay? This is what I want, and if I don't get it, then I'm going to tear your country apart. No, that's not democracy. That's not even anything that defines it, okay? That's just pure selfishness, all right? Pure selfishness. And in a democracy, you can't allow that to be, you know, a foundation for a system of government. You just can't. You can't have selfishness running this country. Trump is selfishness. Him being president would not benefit this country. It didn't the first time, and we all know it won't the second time if he wins, okay? Because he's all about himself. If he gets in the White House again, we know what he's going to do. He's going to whitewash everything that happened, you know, all the crimes he committed. He's going to erase all that. Going to stop all the investigations. You know, he'll pardon who he wants to pardon. He'll go after who he wants to go after. Okay, he's going to weaponize the government against itself, essentially, because a lot of these people that he wants to get revenge on were people who worked in the government, and some still are. But that's what he wants. Okay, he's going to turn the country in on itself. Now, how anybody can think that's a better way for our country to go, you know, while leaving everybody else in the dust, you know, I have to say, you need to have your fucking head examined, okay? Because going down that path, you can forget about low prices, you can forget about low gas prices, you can forget about higher wages, you can forget about more jobs for Americans, you can forget about, you know, just about any hope you ever had to see this country get better. Everybody in this country will suffer, and especially the women, okay? And I can't see how there would be anything good coming out of another 4 years of that jackass in the White House, okay? Nobody in Washington wants to see that fucking guy seated again. Nobody, okay? Not even J.D. Vance didn't even like him, okay? And this is a guy who's running with him, okay? He doesn't even like Trump. But he's in it for the fucking money. Another selfish prick, okay? So, like I said, he's going to be a government of selfish criminals who are going to use everything they can in the government, take all the money they can get out of it, and then just leave us all with holding the fucking bag. That's what they want to do. They just want to rape the goddamn government from top to bottom, you know, and when they leave, it's a scorched earth policy is what they're going to do. They're just going to wreak havoc all across every, you know, plateau, across every slice of this country. That's what they're going to do. I mean, they damn near destroyed the farming industry when he was in there last time, okay? He damn near destroyed it because of a goddamn trade war he started with China. Remember that. And he wants to do it all over again. You know? Christ, it wasn't bad enough he almost got to kill the farmers in this country. No, he wants to do it all over again. He didn't register. Didn't fucking get it. His actions created that outcome, which led to a lot of people out of work, okay, and crippled our economy. He had, Christ, Obama gave him a good economy when he took office. Jesus, you know, and that time he lost, Trump lost over 100,000 jobs in this country that just disappeared practically, you know, and fucking people suffering with COVID, and him out there fighting with the CDC, you know, the head of the CDC, okay. He was not at the wheel when he should have been. He left us all with our butts hanging in the wind. You know, a million plus people died because he couldn't convey to the country the seriousness of what was going on. No, he didn't want to be a president that was going through hard times. He wanted everything to be hunky-dory. I'm the president, so there can be no virus. It just can't be. It's a hoax. You know, bad things don't happen. Christ, when in his life did anything good ever really happen? I mean, Christ, like I said in the last video, we open up that man's closet any wider, there's going to be skeletons coming out of that goddamn thing that'll bury his house in Mar-a-Lago. I mean, I just can't imagine what else he's sitting on that we haven't discovered yet. But I know that guy's dirty, and I'll tell you right now, he'd make BTK blush. The shit that he's probably guilty of, because he's not an ethical man. Okay, he's not ethical, and you can tell that by the people he hangs around with. Okay, those people are the scum of the earth, and he hangs around with them, and he tries to make himself like he's a good man. Really, never seen a good man hang around with bad people that weren't just as bad as the person he thinks is good. Okay, I'm sorry. But he ain't no good man. And the sad part of it is if he didn't have all that money, he'd probably already be in prison right now for a plethora of things that he did when he was younger. Okay? But because it's Donald Trump, oh, he's got money to buy off judges and lawyers and all kinds of people to stay out of prison so he can continue to do his crimes. But that really is who Donald Trump is. Nothing special about the guy, nothing at all. He's just a wannabe mob boss, okay? And no class, no ethics, no principles, no nothing, okay? Anything goes with this guy. And if he's going to put his hand on the good book and take the oath of office for a second time, okay, that's going to be the death of this country. I'm telling you. 4 more years with him is all he needs. That's all he needs to destroy what's left of what we got. Okay. Personally, no. I would rather see. I'd rather see Kamala Harris being there as president. Okay. Because at least she's got her head on straight. She knows what she wants to do. She's got her plan laid out. Okay. She's already got a good push from Joe Biden to continue what he started. Okay, she's got a good VP pick, and he seems to be a lot better thinker than JD Vance. It's a ticket you can't, you know, who could refuse it? I mean, Jesus, you'd have to be insane to refuse that. Okay, the other guy is not even an option. He's the loser option. You want to lose the country, then that's the one you vote for. Okay, you want to continue to stay in America, you know, and help it to get better and everything, then you go with Kamala. That's what she's going to do. All right, that's what she's going to do. So that's it for today. So I hope everybody has a great upcoming work week. So subscribe, share, and comment, and just keep your ear open for health-related issues, and treat each other nice out there, and can enjoy the fall. and I'll talk to you later. So.